Howdy folks, it's Bucket Fridge again. Hope you're all doing very well. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel. In today's video, we're going to be discussing where to park your main and where to park your alts. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and without further ado, let's hop right into it. So this is a question I've been seeing pop up a lot on the forums, in-game, in my own guild, and people are very curious about where should I push to? Where should I push my main to, and where should I keep my alts at? So I'm going to go over the different places where you can park your main and the different places where you can park your alt and kind of give my opinion on why I am choosing certain zones and not other zones as far as gear score goes, and kind of my thought process when it comes to all these things. So hopefully this video is helpful for you guys and that you can glean something and be able to kind of figure out what you want to do with your Lost Ark journey, where to keep your characters and where to keep your alts. Also, as a quick disclaimer, again, this is my personal opinion on things. I'm sure that there are a lot of opinions on this and there is no one right or wrong answer. This is just currently how I'm approaching the game, how I plan on doing things. If you find that this isn't the best way for you to go about it, that is totally fine. There is no wrong way to play Lost Ark. Again, this is my opinion, and there are lots of other content creators who have opinions on this as well, and they are worth listening to. You want to take all the information that you can and make the best decision for you, like we talk about on this channel. So with that disclaimer, let's hop into why I think the way that I do. What do I think? I personally believe that getting to 14-15 on your main is probably the most optimal place to park them. Why do I think this? So at 1385, I think is the bare minimum of where you should press your character to, your main at least. Because at 1385, you get stronghold research, which I'm sure you know by now, which will make it tremendously more efficient for your alts and getting them wherever you want to get them to in tier 3. Currently, there is no content in the game that requires you to have over 1400 for anything. Even though I'm recommending getting to 14-15, there is nothing currently that we need in Lost Ark that requires over 1400. So why do I say 14-15? Well, I don't know if it's common knowledge, but the minimum requirement to enter Valtan when it comes out, probably in a month or so, is 14-15 for Valtan normal. That's the spot where I have parked my main. As you can see, he is a berserker at 14-15. So I am Valtan ready. I am ready for the brand new content that comes out. Hence why I believe this is probably the optimal spot to park your main. I'm sure you've probably seen screenshots or streams or other things like that where people have pushed their character well beyond 14-15. I've seen as high as 14-90. In my opinion, anything over 14-15 is really just kind of superfluous. There's no real reason to go above that unless you have the extra time and materials and or money to get there. It is not something that the average player needs to do, and if anything, using your mats to get your other characters caught up to where you want them in tier 3, in my opinion, is probably a little bit more valuable than pressing your main all the way to 1460, 1490, etc. As I mentioned, there's nothing above 1400 currently in the patch that we have now that is required for your characters. Even 1415 is still quite a ways above the minimum requirement to enter the hardest content we have. The absolute max that I would think to pressing your character right now before Valtan comes out would be 1445, and that's really pushing it. I don't think I'm even going to do that unless I have an abundance of mats. The reason is because 1445 is where you get into Valtan hard mode, and Valtan hard mode I'm sure will last us for quite a while until we get the other Legion raids. So again, 1400 is really the top end. 14-15 is just giving yourself a little bit of wiggle room to be ready for Valtan in May. The reason I say there really isn't too much of a reason to push past 1400 or 14-15 is because there's no increase in mats, there's no increase in content you can do or anything of that nature. It really just is to be ready for Valtan when it comes out in May. The reason I believe it's more valuable to push your alts farther into tier 3 is because there actually is a direct benefit that you will notice by pushing your characters farther into tier 3 as opposed to pushing your main past 1400, 14-15, or even up to 1445. Before we move on to where to park your alts, I'll just briefly describe how I got to 14-15. It is a fairly quick and gold efficient way to do so. So what most people will do is they will upgrade each piece up to the next tier from 11 to 12, 13, etc. But what is actually a little bit cheaper and a little bit easier is actually keeping the majority of your gear at rank 12 and pushing 2 pieces to rank 17. So the reason we choose to upgrade the shoulder and the hands is, as I mentioned, for DPS, these will actually give you the largest DPS increase increase. If you are a support character, you could work on using your pants or chest piece to upgrade instead, because these will give you the largest amount of survivability, whereas the shoulders and hands will give you the largest DPS increase. And the reason we want to push these to 17 is because you'll notice that at 17, they are at 1445 gear score. The reason this is more efficient is because once you get above a certain level, the gear score increase per hone actually goes up pretty drastically from 1415 to 1430 to 1445. The reason that's more efficient is because you'll gain more gear score per level than you will by upgrading each one sequentially. So for example, if you're upgrading from 11 to 12, you might not even get one entire gear score for upgrading a piece of gear. But when you're upgrading from level 15, 16, and 17, you're getting 15 gear score increase per piece of armor, which gives you up to 4 or 5 gear score per honing success. That way, you're gaining larger increases in gear score with less resources because you're upgrading 2 pieces as opposed to having to upgrade each piece sequentially. I hope that makes sense for everybody. If it doesn't, let me know down in the comments and I will be happy to make a further video going into more detail about this. Now that we've gone over where to keep your main at or where to get your main to, now we'll go into where to get your alts to. In my opinion, there are really 3 areas where you can leave your alts at: 1325, 1340, or 1370, and I'll discuss each one and the benefits and the cons of each zone so you guys can decide what is best for you. I think the bare minimum of where you should push your alt to is 1325. 1325 gives you access to the new level of Chaos Dungeon from 1302 to 1325, as well as allows you to equip purple accessories and ability stones. I think the reason this is important is because this is when you're really starting to get a hold of your character in tier 3. The purple items will allow you to have more engravings and be able to kind of get a better feel for your character's power level in tier 3. But again, 1325, in my opinion, I believe is the bare minimum of where you want to push your alts in tier 3. Next would be 1340. 1340, I believe, is a very sweet spot to park your alts at. Why is this? So first thing that it does is it gives you access to the next level of Guardian Raid. You go from being able to do Narcasena to being able to do Egrexian. I hope I'm saying that correctly. That actually will give you more honor leap stones and increase the amount of mats that you get weekly, as well as allowing you to access the next level of the Chaos Dungeons from the 1325 bracket to the 1340 bracket. The other benefit of getting to 1340 is that you are able to do both of the Abyssal Dungeons in normal mode. You'll be able to do the first one at 1325 and access the second one at 1340 with the matchmaking. You can do the 1341 if you find a group in the group finder at 1325, but to matchmake, you have to be at 1340. The reason it's beneficial to be able to do both of the Abyssal Dungeons is just the flat gold that you get from being able to access those. That will directly help all the rest of your characters by being able to do both of those Abyssal Dungeons, getting your character possibly better purple accessories, and also just increasing the amount of gold on your account, which will then help your main and your alts as well. The next spot to park your alts would be 1370, but I would suggest that if you do not have your main at least 1385, you do not press your alts past 1340. As we know that 1340 to 1370, or the dead zone as it was called, is a difficult thing to press through for the first time. I'm sure that you don't want to have to go through that 2 or 3 or however many more times. So make sure that if you're going to push your alt past 1340, you have your main at 1385 and you have done the stronghold research that you need to do to get to 1370 a lot more expeditiously and a lot more cost efficiently. Also, something worth mentioning is we actually just found out that the casual guardian event that gives us the winter illusion tokens, that gives us honing books and other materials, is actually getting extended to Valtan's release to help players catch up and get ready for Valtan. So if you do plan to push your alt past 1340, I would suggest using this event to really help propel you through that dead zone by getting the extra increase in honing from the books and also from your stronghold research. So what are the benefits of getting to your alt to 1370 or above 1370? Well, there are quite a few actually. Getting to 1370 allows you to access both P1 of Argus and the hard mode for both Abyssal Dungeons. The reason these are all significant is, one, it is a flat gold increase, which is really good, but also starts to give you access to Night Fox Yoho as well, the next Guardian Raid, which will start getting you greater honor leap stones. The reason getting greater honor honor leap stones become significant is because, one, they sell for more on the auction house than honor leap stones do, but they'll also be able to help you contribute to your main who is above 1385 optimally. As you know, above 1370, you start to need greater honor leap stones to upgrade your gear as opposed to honor leap stones. Additionally, getting to 1370 gives you access to legendary accessories and ability stones. The reason this is significant is because, as I'm sure you know, on purple accessories, the max of any one engraving that it can give you is +2 nodes. But when you get to legendary accessories, you're able to get up to +3 nodes, which allows you actually to get a 4x3 as opposed to a 3x3x3x1, usually accomplished at 1340. But with that being said, being able to get legendary accessories on your alts is a good thing, but it can also be a very costly thing. Most people are spending upwards of 20,000 gold or more to get the perfect set of jewelry or accessories on their main. Now, if you play a more obscure alt, maybe something that's not as popular, it might be a little cheaper, but keep in mind that we're going to get relic accessories with Valtan coming out. So there's no need to break the bank to get your alts legendary accessories, as opposed to just accumulating them from being able to do both Abyssal hard modes and Argus and P1. So I'm sure, as you've deduced by now, that each one of the spots that I've mentioned, 1325, 1340, and 1370 for your alts, all come with different benefits and different cons as well. In my opinion, again, 1340 is a great place until we get to Valtan. One of the things that people suggest will happen when Valtan comes out is we'll also get a honing increase in the lower levels of tier 3 to help people get past that dead zone at 1340 to 1370. Now, if memory serves me correctly, I believe in Korea, when the Legion raids were first introduced, Valtan being the first one of the Legion raids, that is when they instituted a honing percentage increase for the bottom end of tier 3, allowing players to catch up to 1370, do Argus, and then eventually get to Valtan at a much more rapid rate than they're able to currently with the content we have. With that being said, I don't know if you want to wait until Valtan comes out to be able to push your alts to 1370, or if you'd rather do it now. I'll give you what I'm doing and how I'm going to approach things, and then maybe you guys can glean something from this and alter it or change it and figure out what works best for you. My current plan is to get both of my alts, my Gun Lancer and my Paladin, to 1340, get them decent accessories, and leave them there until Valtan comes out. I have my main at 1415, which is enough to enter Valtan normal mode. The reason I want to leave these alts at 1340 is so I can actually stockpile the mats from all my characters to help me progress my destroyer above 1370 when it does come out, because of the amount of gold and materials it requires to push from 1340 to 1370, even with the honing upgrades from your stronghold. I believe, for me personally, it is more valuable to stockpile my mats and boost my destroyer as far as I can get him upon release. I plan to main destroyer, so I want to catch him up to 1415 as quickly as possible. In my mind, using the materials above 1340 to 1370 is just not worth it when I could be using them to help my new main progress when it does come out. I'm sure you've been able to hear my kitty in the back. He has been wanting his time on the screen, so maybe one of these days I'll introduce you to my cats. In the meantime, you get to put up with his meowing as I have to listen to it too. So let's summarize what we've just discussed. I personally believe that the best spot to leave your main is at 1400 or 1415. And I personally believe that the best place to leave your alts currently before Valtan comes out is at 1340, if you don't plan to play one of the new classes coming out. If you do want to push your alts to 1370, I think that is acceptable, but under the condition that you have the stronghold research done and available to be able to push past that dead zone as quickly as possible. Wherever you decide to push your alts and to push your main to is, again, 100% up to you. There is no wrong or right way to do it. All that I've done is trying to show you guys or let you into my thought process, kind of how I've approached the game and how I plan to do things. Again, there is no wrong way to do this. You play the game at the pace that you want to. And if you want to play one of the new classes coming out, as I do for Destroyer, I will put a link to a video that I have that will help you prepare for some of the new classes coming out. Whatever you decide to do with your characters, I hope works out for you guys very well. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching this video. I greatly appreciate everybody sticking around. If you want to support the channel, you can click the Twitch link down below as I do stream there. We're going to be going to a new streaming schedule and I'll post that as well. But again, thank you so much for watching the video. If you want to support the channel, you can also subscribe and do the YouTube stuff below. But until next time, I hope everybody stays safe, be kind, and I will catch you all in the next one.